Anyway, we were talking earlier about constructing the guitar bodies, and I don't have any necks under construction, but this is a neck that I took out of one of my guitars, and the owner of the guitar decided he wanted a fatter or a wider neck, so we just plugged him in a new neck. Someday I'll hopefully be able to reuse this on another guitar. But it's, again, all one-piece mahogany, very straight grain, quarter sawn ebony fingerboard, and you can see the truss rod, the nut on the end of the truss rod.
Why don't you hold that real still and I'll get in close on that. So is there a nut on there?
Yeah, it's a 1/4-inch nut, and you access it with a ratchet on a short extension and just go through here and engage the socket and adjust the neck.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to take the strings off or reduce the tension or anything. It's better if you have the tension, then you know exactly what you're getting. And I use a traditional compound dovetail for the joint. There's a block of mahogany inside that, of course, has a negative, the reverse of this. So it's, when they're fit properly, it's literally the strongest way to attach a neck. And it's kind of a big point of contention among luthiers. Most people bolt them on with bolts and all kinds of hardware. And, and that's fine. Way to do it, and that's the way I actually did when I was making guitars in the 70s. I was bolting them on, but as I got more experience, I realized that this is a superior way to do it, both mechanically and tonally. And most luthiers would argue that point, but they don't know what they're talking about.
Now, I don't think I've ever seen the neck outside of a guitar. And
yeah.
I would think there would be glue all over that.
No, I put like a couple little drops of glue on the bottom just to keep it from popping out. But a properly fit joint, it's just 100% contact with very seasoned, stable mahogany. And there's no room, the joint cannot move. It's just captured. It cannot move.
So it's not the glue that's holding it in.
Like a factories, you'll, if you reset necks on old factory guitars, you'll notice that a Martin guitar has very little glue in it. But then a Guild, for instance, has a half a pint of glue in there. And you can't, you destroy the guitar steaming them out. I literally just have 2 drops of glue. You can even see, I don't even glue the whole fingerboard down. It's just a periphery bead of glue that spreads out a little bit. And that's thinking if you ever do have to remove the neck, it's easier to take it out. It just literally takes a few minutes to steam a neck out. And, usually there's no damage to the finish or anything. There's always exceptions, but... Anyway, so I try to do everything the way that I think is best. If it takes longer to do it, and you have to work at a more accurate level, then you just do it. That's the way I do build guitars, and this is the best way to attach a neck.
So that's all one piece of mahogany. It starts out as one.
Yeah, and
one
in
big
fact,
log.
here's these are you can't see barely, but that's perfectly quarter sawn wood. You see the grain? Dense, old, genuine Honduran mahogany. It's straight on both planes, perfectly quarter sawn. And I'll get 2 necks out of this. You cut them out. Get one neck there. Then you get another neck here. And these came out of, billets of mahogany that were probably 2 feet wide, 4 inches thick. And I've had these for probably close to 20 years. Lifetime supply sitting there. It's the best. It's hard to get this stuff today just like this. Yeah, it's a great tone wood. It's very stable. In fact, it's such great wood, I don't even use, a lot of people use carbon fiber bars in their neck. They inlay them under the fingerboard to get a stiffer neck. But this wood is plenty stiff. And if you get a neck too stiff, it makes the action harder. And some people object to that. And I think a little bit of neck vibrating is actually a good thing. Just like some people build their guitars with laminated sides, and they're thicker and denser, thinking that the guitar is going to sound better. And they'll laminate the backs. They're doing all kinds of things now to try to improve the tone of the guitar. And, a lot of it's, we're kind of in the golden age of Luthery hype, and a lot of people have a bunch of hype about stuff, and they just, are trying to reinvent the wheel. And, but the final thing is, what do the things sound like? That's the bottom line. To my mind, building traditional guitars where every part is part of the sound. You're not trying to kill the back or sides. You want everything to vibrate. And once you tie all that stuff together, it becomes simpatico, and you have, in my case, you have a guitar that sounds like one of my guitars instead of somebody else's. And everybody, it's hard to duplicate the sound of another person's guitar. If you start getting a little picky about it, because it's hard to duplicate every aspect of their design and the way they carry it out. You can have adjustable necks on your guitar, acoustic guitar, and I love to see that, because every time I go, well, there's less competition because adjustable neck is a tone killer, but it's cool, and they're always supposed to be better. But a well-made guitar, you don't have to reset the necks. I never reset necks. And it's not the neck joint anyway, it's the whole body warps. The sides bend on edge, the top distorts. The whole thing is moving. And people think, oh, it's the neck joint, but it's not. It's the body is tweaking out. This neck, they're just, I don't know. It's just my philosophy.
When you start on a neck, there's a lot of angles and curves and
yeah. Well, there's a method that you go through, and there's you start from this, and there's certain stages, like we were talking about earlier. If you don't want to just make one guitar neck, you want to make a batch. So every time you set up a machine, you can do that operation.
How many will you make at a time?
Well, I used to make maybe 20 at a time, and now I make fewer because I'm slowing down and I'm not making as many guitars as I used to. But in fact, for this guitar, I short one neck, so rather than make one neck, I'll just take the time and probably make a dozen neck blanks. And there's, all different stages. This would be the first step. Here you just cut out the profile of the neck and the headstock and the heel. And then I guess the next thing I do is route the slot for the truss rod. This is an anchor that's threaded. And then, of course, the truss rod nut is in here. And there's another threaded anchor in there. And then at the stage 2, I drill the hole for the relief to receive the socket for the nut. And then I cut the dovetail I have a jig set up to cut this dovetail very precisely. It's just perfect. And the same template is used to cut the dovetail on the body, except you just slide this template back a little, and because it goes out in the V, and then it's wide enough to cut the inside here, and then you move it again, and then you cut the outside here. And then when you put them together, it's actually a perfect fit. You do have to fine tune them a little bit, but and then so those are done, and then I'll cut out this shape, and this you can make a lot of neck lengths up And but nowadays, just about every order I take, everybody has their own neck width requirement, and it will vary by a 32nd to a 16th or even more. So at this stage, I'll cut some out to my standard widths, but I keep some in this stage, so if I get that odd thing and I don't have a neck that will cover it, then I just have to get back a step, 1 or 2 steps, and but once you get to this stage, that's the bulk of it. And then you laminate the overlay here, and sometimes here if the person wants them. You prep the fingerboard and glue that on, and then you're ready to shape the neck. And there's a million little stages to get to the finished process. But
do you have a truss rod out we could take a look at?
Yeah, so here's one of the truss rods that I had made, and again, it's adjustable 2 ways. So this part, the rod lays, this is actually a short one for a 12-foot neck, so it's too short for here. But this anchor is radiused here, so you can inlay this deeper into the neck without, if it was square, these corners would poke out. And this rod only works if it's below the center of effort on the neck, meaning there's more wood above it than below it. So the lower it is, the more effective they are. And if you turn this, and this is a reverse thread, and this is a right-hand thread. So if you turn it like you tighten a bolt, these blocks pull closer together, and they're captured in these slots here, and it's down low in the neck. So when you tighten it, it pulls the neck, it bows it this way to counteract the string tension. If you want to increase the relief of the neck, you go the other way, and these blocks spread apart and push on the neck, and it has to bow up because it's below the center of effort. So they're great truss rods, very effective, and they're half the weight of most truss rods these days. And they're a little harder to install, but because you have to do these anchor stops and you have to make these anchors, but it's well worth it to me. I think it's the great truss rod design.
How long have you been using this particular design?
For most of my guitars have a rod like this. I've tried some of the other ones from time to time and just didn't like them. They were heavy and they can vibrate in the neck. And factories love them, or people that crank out lots of guitars, because it's literally you just cut a slot on a table saw and drop it in, and that's it. You don't do anything. This takes more work to install them properly.
Well, great. That's all about necks. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it's little things that add up, and the whole result, finished result.
Thanks a lot.
Sure. Thanks.